Welcome back to Raise the Stakes. I'm Sam. Now the big hard-hitting questions you have when you purchase your beef is, am I getting the right cut for the right dish? What to look for in terms of quality? How to prepare it in the right way? Well, guess what? I've got the man that can cover all those questions. I've known him for 30 plus years. They don't come any better than this. Ladies and gentlemen, the meat maestro, Australian butcher, Doug Piper.
G'day, Sammy. Thanks for having me, mate. Great to see you again.
Lovely to have you, champion.
When you go into a butcher shop or a supermarket, you've got to have some idea what you're going to cook. Like whether it's going to be a roast or a braise, or you're just going to have a simple steak for you and the missus, you know? Rump steak, the most popular of all steaks. Rump is so versatile. There's just so much we can get out of a piece of rump steak. So you might go to the shop and you'll buy a piece of rump. You get home and then you decide, crikey, I'm going to do something different with that, you know? Yeah. So like a chef, what else can I do with it? Well, why not do a braise? You can do a braise with it. You can dice it up. All we got to do is take the fat off the outside, dice it into cubes, braise, curry.
Those winter months, that's an excellent cut.
Perfect, yeah. Mate. Or a stir fry. Or a stroganoff, we can cut it into thin slices like that. If you buy a whole rump, you can take the rump cap off, or you can use the whole rump for a roast. A kebab, something beautiful like a kebab for the summer months, perfect. Or if you like a schnitty, cut it nice and thin, and you can do a nice rump steak schnitty, or even a thin slice like a steak sandwich.
So Doug, what I like you've done here is you've prepared at least 5 different options that you can have rump every day if you like.
Exactly, yeah.
So Dougie, I can't get hold of a rump. What else can I get?
Well, mate, I don't think you can go past oyster blade steak. One of my favourites, for a lot of reasons. It's one of those muscles that does a lot of work, comes from the shoulder region, and it's got great flavour, really robust beefy flavour. The oyster blade's got a little bit of sinew in, just like this one here. This is an oyster blade roast. It's got that little bit of sinew right through the centre there. So when you cook that actually goes really gelatinous. It melts down, during the cooking process. And that beautiful beef either side is so tender. Like as a roast, it's perfect. As an oyster blade steak, we can cut it into the steaks. Really good for those, those brown onion sauce mixes, the braised steak and onions, whatever you want to call it. Or some butchers are actually splitting that in half. They're taking out that little bit of sinew there and they're cutting them into what they call a flat iron steak. That steak, to me, is probably number 2 on tenderness on the carcass.
Fantastic, Doug. So there's a versatility of 3 different dishes there. Your roast, your oyster blade steak, and your flat iron.
With mincemeat, I like to look at different types of mince, but there's so many different types available these days, and they all suit different sort of things, different meal options. So what's a good one for a burger, or for a spaghetti bolognese, or even like a sanshoy bao?
Yeah, good one, Dougie. So with the burger, I like to have more of a juicy element to my burgers. So good fat content is fantastic for that. With the sanshoy bao, I go for more of a lean cut, because you don't want too much fat in the lettuce cup when you're eating your sanshoy bao, mate.
Yeah. What about a bolognese?
Bolognese, I go for a medium mince, so not as much fatty as a hamburger mince, so to speak, but not as lean as the premium, because you need a bit of fat in the bolognese, but you don't want too much fat rising through the tomato sauce when you're simmering it. So Doug, I'm going into the butcher shop or supermarket. I want to buy a good piece of beef. What am I looking for?
So the best thing to look for is the quality of the meat. If it's got a nice pink colour to it, a little bit on the reddish side, that's what you want. If it's too dark, it's going to be really sloppy and it might be a little bit chewy, but that's one thing that butchers look for when they buy their meat, when they select their meat to take it home to feed their families, is the colour of the meat. The other thing that I like to look for is a little bit of marbling. Those white flecks, just like in this piece of meat here, you've got these white flecks, that's marbling, and that's what gives the meat more flavour. If it's got a lot of marbling in it, it can be quite overpowering, can be quite strong. Thick steaks and thin steaks, what's the advantages of cooking either?
Awesome question, Doug. Well, what I like about this full face rump that you got here, you've cut it to about 3 to 4 centimetres thick. What that allows me to do is have more control over the doneness. So with my meat thermometer, I can cook that nice and slow on the cooler side of the grill or reduce the pan heat and then get the degree of doneness I want for the consumer. What I also like about this cut, it's perfect for a share steak.
That's a great example. What about a thinner steak? What's a good one for that?
So we've got these 2 sandwich steaks here you got from the rump. These are just a minute each side. Hot pan, bit of oil, salt, bang, bang, done. But you got less degree of doneness control because they're really thin. So go for the thick if you want to get your degree of doneness, whether it be medium rare, well done, or if you just want a quick steak, thin's the way to go. So Dougie, I'm going to all these butcher shops and I'm seeing these dry aged cabinets. They kind of look like me, these aged pieces of meat. Tell me about it, why?
Dry aged meat is a really cool thing. When butchers dry age their meat, it actually gives it a nice, real funky flavour. So what it is, the meat's hung in a humidically controlled refrigerator, basically. So very little humidity, keeping it at a very low temperature. So the meat ages slowly. It dries it out a little bit, loses a bit of moisture, but the end result is a tender, juicy, really flavourful piece of meat. It's just like me.
So Dougie, you are the maestro when it comes to beef. What are your top butcher tips?
I think the best thing you can do, if you're not sure what you want, ask the butcher. They know just about everything there is about meat. They know all the different cuts and they know what they've got in stock, so they can give you the guidance to make sure that you have a great eating experience. Storing the meat, you know, that's a big issue because you can lose meat really quickly if you don't put it in the freezer straight away. Mince, I'd suggest you use it within 2 days of purchasing or freeze it. Steaks and that, pretty much the same, I would say, maybe a couple extra days. But the best tip of all, if you're going to go and invest in a piece of meat and you're going to buy a great big rump or a whole sirloin and slice it up at home, I'd buy yourself a little vac machine. Those little vac machines, they're available everywhere. You can keep meat for up to 6 months in it. And don't forget, when you're doing it, label it so you know what's in the freezer. Put a date on it and then put down what it is, whether it be Scotch fillet or rump.
Yeah, Dougie, that's my biggest problem. Even as a qualified chef for 20 years, you put the meat in the freezer, you take it out, you don't even know what it is. So if I don't have a vac machine, Doug, what do I do then?
Mate, wrap it up in Glad wrap, wrap the piece of meat up in Glad wrap, put it inside one of those little freezer bags, but try and get as much air out as possible. That way the meat won't spoil.
Well, thanks, Doug. It's been great to have you on the show today.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. I hope you all got something out of it today. You know, just got to remember those key factors. You know, look for the freshness, look for the quality, treat the meat right, keep it refrigerated for as long as you can, and enjoy it.
Well, beef is really that easy. Check out the other episodes in the series to raise the stakes, to level up your beef game. Get out of here.